Okay. You have to improve at least like every single day. Like every single day. Like you can't not just do something every single day, or like just in general leave yourself and not realize that you have really improved the next day. And one of the main reasons why I did this podcast really is to really improve, to really have this sense of improving myself in a way that I'm creating accountability. It means like people are actually watching me, and I have to keep my name up. I have to really prove that I'm actually getting better, and I am. The thing is, when you create this tension of like you put yourself in a situation where you shouldn't be, you're more likely to do it. Like you're more likely to you have to do it. Like you have to just show up because like, or else it's gonna ruin everything for you, and you don't want that. And I put myself in that situation where I had no choice. I just had to do it. And so essentially that means I have to be better. I have to be greater, not really greater, but better and better 1% every single day. And that means that I have to potentially better myself in a way that I have to reflect more, I have to clarify my thoughts more, and I have to understand what's really going on. So like I know like a lot of people are like right now they live their lives without really recording or documenting or really writing, in a sense that it leaves them in a way that the days are passing by and they're not really recollecting what they're thinking, what their mind has been processing. This is a reason why artists, like writers in general, have a more deeper sense of knowing themselves. It's because they write. Essentially, when they write, you get a hack. You get a like ahead of yourself. You get a thought of yourself. You get a piece of yourself when you write, because you challenge yourself to think the way that you're thinking, because you're a writer. You have to write what's in your mind, and you have to train that. And most people nowadays, I bet that they can't even really deeply open their minds and really put like something in a piece of paper so clearly, like a writer, like a really professional writer. And to be honest with you, writers are like, when they get into that deep work thing, they just go through it. One really good example is Robert Greene, where he essentially wrote 48 Laws of Power and all these other books that are so great. Is that he essentially, when he writes, he essentially, he doesn't really write in full. When he writes, there's moments where you can't really get into that state. But once you really, like, when he starts writing and writing, it accumulates. It compounds. And the more it compounds, the more you are able to grasp, what's really, really going on and what's really the problem. And once you solve that problem of the loop, you actually get into that deep state of work. And more or less so, that deep state of work is what essentially the probably the process of that realization, made him to where he is right now. Basically, he had this process of thinking and writing. So the more he writes, the more he thinks. There's this process that is going on, and it's training every single time. It's it's really going for the discomfort. Like, he knows that it's hard. He knows that it's really, really hard to do something, but he is doing it because he loves it, and he is willing to break that barrier. And I think that, not just I think, but generally, most people don't have that willingness to fight for. Like, the people around me, when I see them, they don't have that sense of fighting. They don't have to fight. They don't need to fight because they have very much comfortable lives. And I think that you should fight every single day for something that you want to do, for something that you are willing to do. You have to have that fire and passion, because once you become stagnant, once you stop having that sense of consciousness, like being aware, you essentially, you don't count your days. You don't realize that, well, there's not that much days left in my life. Not just that, you wouldn't be able to really do much work for this world. I mean, even though your dreams or your passions or your goals isn't to change this world, I think that you have to have a burning desire to get somewhere. And most people think that desires are bad, but not gonna lie, desires are good in a way that it only becomes bad when essentially it took over your entire life. And I think that is bad. Desires are only meant for the process of really reaching something, like it's a standard. It's more of, you have to really work on that way. Like, that it's something that you can get to, but it's not something that it's not something that it's not something that is essentially, it's not entirely life. Now that thing is not life, like your desires are not generally your entire life. So desires, they get bad if they essentially encapsulate your entire life. When it becomes your entire life, where it's just full of desires, only desires, I only want desires, and that's when it becomes bad. But when it becomes good, it becomes a standard. It becomes like a necessity. Like, I have to think that I am like, my hourly rate is like $5,000 or like $10,000 per hour. And I think that is a standard and a desire, in a way that it makes you, it's not really a desire that is really getting too much in your life, but rather it's a standard, more of a desire. So yeah, but what I'm trying to explain here, I'm sorry if I get a little bit off topic there, but what I'm trying to explain here is that you have to be 1% better every single day. And that requires you to learn from everything that's around you, to be really aware of what's really going on around you. And you have to be always on the state of consciousness. And what I mean by state of consciousness, like being aware of what's really going on. And not in a sense that you have, like, politically or economically or financially, like, what's happening in the stock market right now, or what's happening in the politics right now, or what's really happening on around, but to be generally aware of what's really going around your space. And to be honest with you, when you look upon yourself, that's where we see what we can work on to be better the next day. And I personally think that, we have to reach the best forms of ourselves. And most people just don't want to be the best version of themselves. They make excuses that they can't be the best version of themselves. And I'm just here pushing people to become their best version of themselves. Because the thing is, we want to see ourselves in the best version of ourselves, to be fit, mentally healthy. It doesn't have to be necessarily fit, maybe just mentally healthy, really in a good shape, with a good understanding of the mind, how things works. We want that. And so if you recondition our brains to be better every single day, to find something that interests us, for example, or do something that actually becomes better every single day. One good example is really just reading books. Like, I think that should be like a habit thing, more of like, you read books and then like it's just a normal thing that compounds. Essentially, if you read books every day, it's just gonna compound. You're gonna read more and more complex books. You're gonna be you're gonna eventually you're gonna get bored of self-help books. You're gonna go read fiction. You're gonna read fiction. You're gonna read sci-fi. You're gonna read all these books. You might even browse through your pre-calculus book because you just love reading books. And to be honest with you, that's just unendless learning, and God gave us that opportunity to have that unendless learning. And the thing is, we have to, not really we have to, but it's just that's the privilege that we have as humans, and the internet, and that's the thing. People choose not to consume knowledge, rather they choose to consume distractions, because distractions are way better than knowledge. And knowledge is not just knowledge, but we need wisdom. And there's a big difference between knowledge and wisdom is more important than knowledge. But we have to convert the knowledge into wisdom. That means we have to convert knowledge into experience being wisdom. And so in this entire process, we have to make a system. We have to build ourselves. So we have to really become 1% better every day. But how are we going to do that? By essentially making a systemized life, by having a simple, I'm going to write every single day about my day afterwards, or as a simple, I should maybe record a podcast every week to really reflect on what's really going on, or as simple as, maybe I should have someone to talk to about what they're really feeling, make better relationships that could help me grow as an individual. That's also good. Or you can just do things that generally become a better person. You have to start removing things in your life that really doesn't make you become a better person. And that's a hard process. I think not everyone is able to do that type of thing, remove things in their life and to become essentially better. And that's hard because some people are really attached, and I agree with that. But it all really boils down to just becoming better every single day, 1% better. And that requires you just to go all out on one day, go beyond what you're feeling. And one good example today was I started selling my products to school. In school, I started a business, and I'm going to talk about that on my next vlog. And I started a brand, and it's not really necessarily a brand, but it is a brand. And I started a business, and essentially I have to pitch to people. I have to essentially get out of my comfort zone to really sell. And most people know that I'm maybe they think I'm extroverted, but the thing is I'm not. It's just that I got to a point where talking was inevitably easy because I understand how people talk. That only comes to two ways. It's either that they deny you or they agree with you. And most of the cases, they will just say yes or no. And you have to overcome that fear by actually just doing it, by actually just approaching people. And that's what I'm trying to break free again from. I'm trying to get used to that, get really more used to that feeling of, getting stuck, essentially, feeling of I can't talk to anyone. I want to talk to anyone, no matter who they are, no matter what position they are or what status they are. I want to be able to talk to them. So that's the thing. I have to sell in school, and not only sell in school, but I have to really sell to people I don't even know, to sell to outsiders, to essentially really get that grasp of being free. And that's one good example of feeling of discomfort, and just really becoming better every single day. And let me tell you, if you keep doing that for 1 year straight, you could be a really good salesman, a really good one, and you're going to be learning a lot of sales. And you can do remote sales, which is a job. And when you do remote sales, you can essentially close deals, and essentially you can earn $10,000 or even more. It depends on the deal. So that's crazy, right? So just the realization factor that money is just something that will come to you. What you have to focus now on is yourself, your beliefs, your values, your spirituality. That's the most important thing. Maybe your academics, sure, but I think that your mind and what you believe in, your values, your core beliefs, your faith, is what really leads you, essentially, a better life. So, yeah, that's the end of the podcast. I just want to record that because before I, essentially do my stuff again. But, yeah, it was a nice podcast, I guess. Not too loud, not too shabby, just a simple, chill podcast. Being realistic. Yeah. Anyways, that's it. Bye bye.